It took me getting arrested, took me hitting rock bottom. There was a 4-nostril snake that's only indigenous to Colombia, and it's one of the most toxic poisonous snakes, and it had coiled up on my bed right behind me. If you're not ready to look in the mirror and be accountable for, the blessings that are in your life, I mean, a blessing is a hard lesson learned. It's not all ponies and rainbows and unicorns. It's tough. Coping with something is like leaving a garbage can filled to the top, overflowing in the middle of the room right here. We're coping with it. No. Take it out. Take control of it. Get rid of it.
Welcome to the Tested and Twisted podcast. I'm your host. My name is Chase Shaw, and today I would consider you a friend at this point. We've only been talking for a few hours, but I feel like I've known you forever.
Absolutely. We're definitely brothers.
Alexander Schaefer. How you doing today, brother?
I'm living the dream. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so blessed to be here.
Yeah, no, thanks for coming. It's been crazy having we're talking for multiple hours before this, but we established, I feel like we have a really good connection, so this is cool.
It's wonderful.
Yeah. So Alexander, he does a lot of things. He is technically a mindset coach, but honestly, I feel like that is not even like scratching the surface of what you truly are. I feel like when you really get into it, there's a lot of levels to what you're doing, man. And I personally think that the world needs more people like you. I feel like if more people had the mindset that you had and were on the same mission, I mean, obviously not everyone can be on the same mission, but if everyone thought the way that you did, this world would be a much better place.
It's such a blessing. Yeah, thank you. I really appreciate that acknowledgement.
Yeah. So here on the Tested and Twisted podcast, we kind of like to start at the top. So where you were born in Naples, Florida?
Yes, born and raised. So
Okay.
I've seen a lot of evolution down there.
Yeah. You have one brother?
Yes.
And he's older or younger than you?
3 years older than me.
All right. And were you guys pretty close growing up?
No, we weren't.
All right. You played sports growing up?
He was more the athletic type. My parents owned an art workshop down on 3rd Street in Naples. So I was more artistic. I spent a lot more time learning the trade and the craft with my dad. And my brother was more busy with sports. My mom and him spent more time together, and my dad and I spent more time together. So.
And your parents were together?
Oh yeah. Up until I was 12, they got divorced.
Okay. And obviously you said you were more on the artistic side, but in school, what kind of kid were you? Were you rambunctious? Were you chill?
Yeah, I was definitely more on the chill side. Liked to be acknowledged for good grades, so I always tried to get the honor roll, do good and just be a positive influence on other people because one of my aunts was a teacher at the elementary school I went to, so she would always constantly come in and check in, and I didn't have a way to be unaccountable in school. There was no way to hide anything because aunt was always there. Yeah.
It's like every time I try to make a joke or screw around, I'm getting a call home. That sucks.
Yeah. So just get straight A's, do good.
Yeah, that's damn, that's unfortunate. I'm thinking about if I had someone just watching over me at school, I would have been in so much trouble. I mean, I already got in so much trouble, but
don't we all?
So growing up in Naples, I've had one other person come on who grew up in Naples you're 36. So I guess it wasn't always the Naples it is today, from what I gather. I guess it was a little more spaced out. Mm-hmm. And was it always like a quote unquote rich area, or did that become more of like a recent thing?
Well, it was established early 1900s. The Colliers have a lot of money, and then in Collier County there are a lot of reserves. There's a lot of minerals, so they own the rights to all that. Then there was a lot of families that were established that created their own ways of wealth and being. So there's a lot of old money still in Naples, but it's become a destination because it's such a protected bubble. It's rated one of the most beautiful places in the world to live. And there's more billionaires per capita in Naples than there are anywhere else in the North American continent. And we have more golf holes. So there's a lot of golf. There's a lot of waterway access. So there's a lot of fishing, golf. It's surrounded by beauty. And I'm just so grateful and blessed to be from Naples because, like you said, it was once like a small, spaced out community where it was a lot of families and more like that. And now it's mansion after high rise after, new development. So even where I just moved 3 years ago, there was not a shopping center, and now there's a shopping center on the corner. My property value is doubled, and now I have all these cool restaurants and things to experience without even needing to drive. You know, I can just walk a couple blocks, and I've got 5 restaurants and a couple, you know, a gym and this, that, and the other.
It's cool being in a place where, I don't know if you ever have this feeling, and maybe you have it less than I do because I just recently moved here, but like sometimes I'll wake up and I'll be like, oh shit, I live in a place where people pay money to come on vacation. Like, this is fucking cool.
Oh yeah. No, I came to that when I was like 8 years old. We were on the trip in the Keys, and I realized we were on a vacation, but the place wasn't as nice as where I lived. So then I was just like, why did we leave?
Yeah.
You know?
You're like, we could have just went out to eat at home. This would have been great.
Yeah, I could go shower and get my own clothes, you know?
Yeah, we don't realize, like, I mean, we do realize because we're aware, but I think people take for granted, like, how amazing it is to live where we live, you know? You see, we come across people every day where they're just, like, grumpy or just pissed off. And you're like, dude, we live in paradise.
I mean, it's an understatement.
Yeah.
Paradise. It's absolutely gorgeous location.
Yeah. What elementary school did you go to? I don't know. I wouldn't know anyway, but
It was a Lake Park.
Lake Park. And was it like what do you consider it, like a rich school?
Oh no, it was public school.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And were you like a popular kid? Did you have a lot of friends growing up?
Sure, yeah, because I was always wanting to be a positive influence. I would talk to anybody in class. I would always, you know, reach out and talk to anybody, whether I knew they were rich, poor, white, black, whatever. It didn't matter to me. Yeah, I was always very popular, always did good grades, and had a great time.
And then eventually you do end up getting into sports, though, correct?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I was very physically active for sure, but I wasn't like a football star. And I loved soccer growing up because it was a sport you just run around on the field, kick a ball.
Mm-hmm.
You know, never
Good
liked
cardio.
baseball. Yeah.
Good cardio. That was like one of the sports I said, once I started boxing, I was like, fuck, I wish I would have played soccer because the footwork for soccer is just so unbelievable. And all the kids who played soccer when they're younger and now they're boxing, they were just like next level immediately out the gate.
It's that running. It's all that training.
So what did your parents do for work?
So they owned the art workshop that was down on 3rd Street next door to what is now the Old Naples Surf Shop.
So they both did that.
Well,
that
my mom was kind of a stay-at-home, and she did the accounting, and my dad ran
Gotcha.
the business, did the framing, and worked with a lot of the clients. And she was there, she was present, but most of her work was, you know, working the home life, taking care of my brother and I, getting us to practice and school and all that.
And would you classify your parents as kind of like strict, or were they more relaxed parents?
Very traditional. Very traditional. They both came from Michigan, so they had a very northern mentality, very... you know, and just me being born down here, I was born into a laid-back environment, you know, and just feet in the sand.
Mm-hmm. Do they have a Midwest accent?
No, but my aunt does really bad.
That's the worst accent. Sorry. Sorry to anyone who's watching this from the Midwest, because I know there's a solid group of people watching this from the Midwest. Let's just be honest. That's the fucking worst accent. Minnesota. Come on over.
I personally, I can do accents, but that's one I don't try.
You don't want to accidentally adopt that one. Like, oh, shit. I was just talking to someone about that the other day. I was on the phone. She's like, where are you originally from? I was like, Minnesota. And every time I say Minnesota, they parrot it back to me, Minnesota. And I'm like, I don't. Do I have an accent?
No.
Have you been able to pick up on it?
No.
All right, good. All right.
But most people, me being from Naples or southern Florida, they think that I'm going to have some redneck, drawn out southern accent. Sure, that exists. It's a thing here, but I don't have it. It's, you know.
Honestly, I would have been probably a little bit taken back just because I obviously do my research on all the guests that come in here, and just based off of what I saw, if you'd walk through my door with that accent, I think I would have been taken back a little bit.
Oh, I've done that to people. I've done British accents. I've done Boston accents, just a full experience with them.
Yeah.
And they had no idea that wasn't how I really sound. And then I'll meet them the next time and they'll, you know, talk to them normal. And it's total. Then it becomes a joke. You know, it's
I'd
like,
be like, you're that British guy. You're like, what?
yeah, what are you talking about?
Gaslighting people.
Oh, that was in the past. I used to do that a while ago. This isn't anything recent.
So, you said soccer, and then you ended up getting into boxing. You ended up getting into wrestling.
Oh yeah, yeah. Wrestling and boxing in middle school, 6th grade. Then 7th grade, I graduated and got into my actual first fist fight.
Let's hear the story.
Well, we were out on the playground playing soccer, and one of the kids said something and mentioned that he thought my mom was attractive, and even took it a little bit farther. So I said, F you. And he came at me with the windmills, you know, just throwing haymakers, trying to hit something.
Yeah.
And he got me with a black eye, but I uppercutted him really hard and then hit him with the left. And I think I broke his nose. I don't know, because we got separated right after that. And it wasn't a good experience. It was a learning experience, you know.
What were the repercussions?
Oh, like 7 days at they called it Phoenix. It was an alternative program. So instead of ISS, in-school suspension, if you fought, you got kicked out of school for a week. It was like a zero tolerance policy at that point.
That's interesting. I've never heard of anything like that. Whenever I hear, I've always heard ISS or just out of school suspension.
Yeah. So
what's
Phoenix was like a program where instead, like the boot camp kids would go to Phoenix. So then if you fought, you would get sent to Phoenix. And then those kids, you know, I'm in there with the black eye. They're just ruthless. You know, It looks like you got your ass kicked. Why are you in here? You know, like, wasn't the beating worse? You know, and I'm like, no, this is way worse. This is way worse.
I'm never coming back here. This place sucks.
Yeah, and I never did.
Did that? Obviously, you were justified to hit the kid. You know, don't talk about mothers. It's not a good thing to do. But is that something that followed you? Not the people talking about your mother's thing, but that reactive anger type of mentality?
That's when I became aware of it, and then I started dialing in on it. So I wanted to become better at boxing after that experience because I wanted to make sure that they didn't even get the clean, you know, black eye on me. So after that, I really became obsessed with boxing. Instead of doing it 3 days a week, I did it 5 days a week. And then when I found wrestling, I would go to summer camp I would spend all summer in wrestling camps, and I bonded with a really good friend with that. But then, like, I wanted to make sure that I was a warrior, that I was confident to protect myself and, you know, defend myself in any way. So that kind of tied into my ego, and it became a part of me. And I didn't care for that existence because I was aware that violence is not an answer, and it's kind of a poor way to settle any disagreement. You know, if you can't consciously calm down and have a conversation, you know, people yell when they're close to each other because it's such a simple concept that they're normally disagreeing about, that they're trying to get into you. They're trying to talk to your spirit because they understand, like, you're not getting me. You're not listening to me. You're not hearing me. So they get louder and they get more intense. And then things can erupt into fights, you know, because they can't get their point across in a healthy way.
Where it's interesting to hear you mention wrestling because I'm in the Midwest, and I'm not now. I'm living in Florida, but I grew up in the Midwest where wrestling was like a religion up there. You know, like how, like, when I think of down south, I think football. When I think of up north, I think hockey, wrestling,
Lacrosse, all that.
Yeah. So how was like the wrestling organization down here? Was it a pretty good?
It's much more established now.
Okay.
You know, when I was in middle school, I was actually going to high school wrestling practices and working with those guys, and then the high school wrestlers would kind of coach us. But it's funny, we wrestled with Kendall Cross, who was an Olympic gold medal winner from Iowa. So it's like, I actually went up to Iowa one time, and the facility, it was, like you said, wrestling is church up there. I mean, it's a whole way of life, a whole way of being. So then northern Florida started having a few, you know, camps and events, and we would go to those, and it was incredible.
Wrestling, that when I hear someone wrestles, I get a few extra points of respect for them because that shit is a grind.
So what I didn't like about team sports is I could not trust my teammates.
Yeah.
You know, if I'm gonna pass you the ball and you're gonna miss the shot, what are we doing here? Like, come on, we're here to win the game, right? So in wrestling, I realized I was the only accountable one.
Yep.
I had to do it. So if I want to be a better boxer, I had to take that punch in the face. So then next time I would miss it, you know, I would dodge it. But then it was also the conditioning. I really enjoyed the strength training. Like, I would get a high, you know, from it. So I enjoyed that high. I enjoyed the working out and all that.
So were you a dater? Were you the type of guy who always had a girlfriend growing up, or were you kind of running the muck?
Let's say a lot of the time I had a girlfriend, but in between times I was very messy and running amok.
Do you have any stories that stick out in your brain about high school besides the fight, even though it was middle school? But do you have anything that sticks out in your brain?
Oh yeah, I mean, I lived a block away from the high school, and the principal lived across the street from my house. But I would rent spots in my driveway for football games or just for people to park there. And a few times we had parties, and, you know, we're across the street from the principal's house. I mean, he knows my parents aren't there. Nothing bad happened, but there's keggers, let's just say. So people were parking at the high school, walking over to my house for this kegger that was going on till 6 a.m., and
The principal's just writing down names, watching them park their cars.
there's nothing you could do because we weren't being noisy. That's the thing is, like, I was like, we won't get caught if we're not noisy. So there's like 50 people in the backyard of this 1,300 square foot house. The backyard's just as big as a house. So we're all sitting out there with a keg, low music's playing, and one of the times there was a pretty bad fight. And then it was not involved in me. So that's when I kind of was like, I don't want to throw parties anymore. Like, I'll go to a party, but that's when I realized, like, look, this got too real. Then a couple things got stolen, during parties. I think that kind of happens a lot of time, but
It does, which I also never understood, just because.
I'm inviting you into my home.
Yeah, and it's like
disgusting.
Do you want to come back here? Like, we can have this. This is a place we can party at. This is like a good time. We can do this whenever we want, as long as you don't steal my shit. And then people still steal your shit. It's like, now we can't have parties here anymore. Now we gotta try to find somewhere else. I just never understood that. I actually have a really messed up story, and I'm not proud of this, but this is bad. So I had a friend. I don't know. He was an acquaintance that. He threw a party at his house. A couple months go by, his parents decide that they're going to put the house on the market. They sell the house, leave the house, and like, this house is in pristine condition when they leave. And the kid, the whole family goes and moves into the house that they just bought. And the kid that I was acquaintances with is like, I'm going to throw one more party here. Not a good idea. Well, we got there, and I was running with a group of kids where we got in like a lot of fights, and we just caused a lot of trouble. We were not respectful kids by any means, and this is so embarrassing. And we started arguing with somebody, and he's like, "You guys have to go." And we're like, "All right, we'll leave." Well, we left, but we came back to the house after everyone left the party because we were just up the street. We literally walked to this party from another one of my friends' houses. When we got back, we ruined the house. When I say we ruined the house, we ripped the whole toilet out of the ground and threw it through his back patio door. They sold that house like a couple weeks before that, dude. I think about that. I was just talking about this with Emma. Like, I feel so bad about. Imagine selling your house to someone, and like, then next thing you know, you're getting a call. Why is the house destroyed? Why is there no toilet? Why is the back patio? We broke everything that we could. We just demolished his house.
Oh, that's what rejection will do to people.
I feel bad about that. But anyway, so.
I got kicked out of a Barron party one time and did a lawn job in the yard. If that's a story. Just burnt up the whole thing. I don't feel bad about it, though, because they were extremely rude, and it was just grass. It grew back.
Yeah. I mean, that's bad. I mean, it's definitely disrespectful, but it could be worse. At least you didn't throw a toilet through the back patio door. Oh, I feel so bad about that. So, you graduate high school. What's your plan after high school?
I first got into automotive work, and that didn't last too long because the manager just kind of fed me a bunch of lies. So my brother was in the air conditioning trade. So I got into air conditioning back in 2006. And in Southwest Florida, it's a great trade. So I learned from new construction. It was funny. The first guy they put me with was out of jail for 3 days. So the first guy they put me with, me and him are driving in a single cab S10 out to Lehigh from Naples. And this guy's fresh out of jail, and I'm 18 years old. So that was a very wild learning experience for me.
Welcome to the company.
Holy cow. But I grew really fast in that company. Within 3 years, I was making, I started at like $13.50. Within 3 years, I was making over $21.50 or something, So it was a quick way to grow and quick way to make some money. But then having that much money, and then, I was very confident because I was a great installer. I went from, new install to service and then into sales. So, it's a great trade. It's a wonderful experience.
Yeah, I mean, down here, it's like we live off air conditioning.
It's such a necessity that like the companies I've worked for, it's like I basically go in and I'm like, there's these 3 options. Which one would you like? I'm a server. I'm an order taker. But I also have a lot of knowledge about airflow, ductwork and all that. But that's not what we're here to talk about.
Every time one of those guys comes to my house, I'm thinking they're trying to scam me. Every single time.
And everybody feels that way. And, it's my job to just kind of bring into your awareness, like, you don't need this right now, but this is an option. It's an accessory that's available, or for this issue, this might be something you want to do. And I don't always sell people on air conditioning things. It's like, oh, if your room's too hot, you can do window tinting, or you can, add more insulation to the attic. So there's different ways you can do it. But that also takes a lot of years of dedication and talking with engineers and, having these experiences. I've been in all aspects of work. You know,
Mhm.
when I'm doing new construction, I'm not interacting or interfacing with anybody. But within a few short years, I'm shaking hands with millionaires every single day and selling them jobs.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's a pretty profound improvement in
Mm-hmm.
life. And
Yeah.
you know, I'm really grateful that I've even had that awareness to be like, wow, this is phenomenal. And then when I realized, like, you are in a niche market where there are 50 million, $100 million homes. So $1 million AC job is not a big deal for these people. You know, they'll rent out their house for $1 million for 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
So I came into the awareness that there's an abundance of money. There's an abundance of everything all around us. And that was a real eye opener for me. But I was stuck in my alcoholism back at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's when I really, you know, you work hard and play hard in that industry. There's a lot of people that have suffer from drug addiction, all over the place. It could be cocaine, opioids, heroin, alcohol. Mine was alcohol, but I was an extremely high functioning alcoholic. You know, I could really function and process life, even with or without alcohol in my system. But typically my resolve or my release or escape was getting home to have a beer.
Mm-hmm. So this was that 18 to 21 range is when your alcoholism started?
I would say my friends in high school started smoking pot when around 15, and that's when I was able to buy alcohol somehow. So from about 15 on, I would casually drink, you know, throughout the week and then on the weekends. And I wouldn't say I was an alcoholic back then, but it was just my release because I didn't want to smoke weed.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Then in the college years, so I lived in Estero with 3 girls when I was doing air conditioning. So I was living in Naples. That was wild. That was a party house. No, not bad at all.
Not a bad setup.
Because all 3 girls would have their friends. So I'm sitting there in the living room playing Nintendo, and there's 6 girls running around naked, getting dressed for the club they're going to or whatever. Or, you know, I'm hanging out. They all go out. At 1 o'clock in the morning, 1 or 2 of them comes in my room.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's just, I don't have to do anything. I'm literally sleeping there. And they already know I'm a good guy, or they know me from before. And I had no effort when it came to women.
Yeah.
Where in high school, it was like, that was my drive. That was like, I love sports. I love doing good at school. But anything else was like, where am I going to find this connection with a woman?
Relatable. Very relatable. So when did you start to notice that you had a problem with alcohol?
Oh, early 20s, yeah.
What were like some of the warning signs to you?
A huge fight that happened at Stoney's.
What Stonies?
It was a bar down on Estero, and I had not come to terms with, you know, what had gone on with my father. We talked about that a little bit. So my old trigger word was faggot. I don't really want to say that, but that used to trigger me. And a guy said that, and then he said he was going to fuck some of the girls that were there with me, and I felt like their protector, and I also wasn't going to be bitched out, and you call me that word. So ended up fighting him. Turned out really bad for both of us. And then the girls were driving my car. They ran to the car, popped the trunk. I ended up jumping in the back of the trunk, and we drove away with the trunk still open.
Damn.
Like, that's how much of an escape it needed to be, because we both did a lot of damage to each other.
Ooh.
Him a little worse, but it wasn't a good experience. And then it was like when so much physical harm can come, and then I saw the girls' reaction to, like, they didn't see that side of me before, you know, and I didn't realize there was such a animalistic, you know, like, I knew that I was strong and I knew that I was powerful, but like when it got to that point, I felt like I'd lost control, and I really didn't like it.
Mm-hmm. It's a scary feeling.
Terrifying.
It's very scary, especially when people are scared of you. That doesn't feel good.
That was the eye opener for me. It was the girls being scared. I mean, hurting the guy too. I'm sorry, you know. I hope he's still alive and hope everything's great. But
yeah.
For them, it was it was like it was almost like I lost their trust. You know, because I was known as being the support system, the good guy, like the cool brother that's sitting there, you know, keeping the house safe when they're gone, doing their stuff.
Mm-hmm. So beyond that, was there anything else that stuck out to you?
Oh, yeah, just constant, you know, blacking out became quicker. You know, I had a less of a threshold for alcohol. And then, you know, just not remembering things and opening your phone and seeing all the wild things that you would never dream of. And then you actually wrote it or said it. And it's like, I wasn't putting out negativity, but just inappropriate things or just like wild thoughts. And it's like waking up to that a couple times is just not anywhere I would ever want to be. And it was just, that was the awareness. That was like, okay, you're messing up. You can't do this anymore. And my wife, who helped me through a lot of that, she was a big part of that support and getting me out of that.
Was she one of the 3 girls that lived in that house?
Oh, absolutely not.
Oh.
Absolutely not. No, I just met her 8 years ago. That was when I was 21.
Oh, okay. I was like, oh, maybe. Dude, that feeling of waking up and then like that anxiety hitting you of like, I don't remember 3 or 4 hours of last night at the very least. And like anything could have happened. I hate that feeling.
Yeah, it's the worst.
Oh, it's one of my least favorite feelings in the world. Just like, what did I say? What did I do? Do people think I'm an asshole? Do people think I'm an idiot? Like,
or you have friends. You're like, do you remember what happened last night? Mm-hmm. Oh God, no.
The worst question ever.
Yeah. Because everybody saw it happen. You know what I mean? So you go to try and hang out with your friends again, and you're just pegged as the fucked up guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've had that happen way too many times. Way too many times. It's a terrible feeling.
But here we are.
Yeah. Now we get to ask people that question. Nah, I'm just fucking around. So, were you consistently, like, obviously you mentioned that you're an alcoholic, and you said
I don't want to say alcoholic. I want to say I suffered from alcohol use disorder.
Because
I don't identify with alcoholic.
Yeah.
And I don't use it at all.
Right, I got you. Power in words, I understand. Were you consistently drinking, or was it a thing where you were partying hard for 3 months and then you'd sober up for like a couple months and then you'd party really hard?
So I basically partied from 15 to 32-ish, 30, 32. Like when I got into my 30s, I was like, what am I doing? But then like you justify it because you see these 40-year-old guys, 50-year-old guys that have Ferraris and boats and stuff in Naples. And it's like, oh, they're still doing it. Horrible way to justify it. It took me getting arrested, took me hitting rock bottom in my own way. You know, me getting arrested for public intoxication may not be a big deal to you. You know, maybe something else needs to happen for you, but that's the beauty of all of our own journeys. Like the awareness smacked me in the face by waking up in a jail cell, and realizing, you know, a lot of things are going to be taken away from you at this point in your life. And all that hard work that I had done to build up, to become the salesman, to have the family I wanted and do everything, you know, it immediately got swept out from under my feet. And I've had to do for the last 2.5 years, 3 years, I've done a lot of soul searching, a lot of work to bring into my life the things that serve me and remove the things that didn't. Because when I was trying to latch on to that thought that somebody else wanted me to be, it wasn't working for me because that's not who I am. That's their, you know, construct of what a person should be and do. Whereas, you know, we all have our own individual perceptions of reality because of what we've been through. Just like your journey is so divine and mine is, we all have different experiences that form and shape how we exist now.
How long were you with, what was the company that you said you were with fresh out of high school? You said it was called...
Oh, it's Florida Comfort Systems. They're still around.
And then
I was there for about 3.5 years.
And then what followed after that?
I've in the last, what is it, 18 years, I've been with 5 AC companies.
Okay, so you're
I average about 3.5 years. One of them was my brother had a company for a year, but that didn't last. So I mean, if you want to average, it's about 3.5 years, but it's not the truth. You know.
Gotcha. So you brought up the getting arrested. What was there anything specific that led up to that night? Were you going through like a certain situation? Yeah,
there was some family stuff going on that was really out of my control. I had a lot of plans for the future, and those things were getting ripped away from me. And I'm not blaming my old neighbor, but he just happened to come over and offer me a cocktail, and the wheels fell off. And within 6 hours of seeing him, I was getting arrested and put in jail. And it's not his fault. I'm not blaming him at all, but you know, had I just refused, had I just held my own power, maybe gone and meditated or gone and worked out, because at that point I wasn't as focused on my physical appearance, my body. I've always been in good shape and I've always kept a good one, but it's more about getting deep and, you know, building the muscle and creating that relationship with your body, because this is a sacred divine temple that we all share and we all have, that we were not given an owner's manual for. You know, we all got super intelligent vehicles that we drive, and we were never given instructions. And that to me is a big letdown, but it's also part of our evolution process. And it's how we advance in life, by getting into car accidents, or, well, if you don't change the oil, your motor's going to break. So, I mean, you got to be aware and be conscious of every vessel and everything that you're ingesting and being in life, because it all comes back to you. And that's where people get messed up with karma. They think it's like, oh, what comes around goes around. Yeah, sure. It's a reflection, you know. It's, who are you being? It's going to come back to you in some way, shape, or form. But if you are being a wonderful, bright light or a positive influence in the world, if you're motivating people and getting them out of their traumas and holding space for them, then the universe is going to come back and share that with you. But you have to work really hard, and there's a lot of tips and tricks that you can do that typical therapy or, you know, self-help books, they don't give you the exercises to physically help yourself. They have great stories, and great stories help and connect people. And that's what, you know, humanity is about, is connection. And that's what our lives are really about, is sharing these stories, is having a platform like this for people out there to connect with us, because we all have really interesting stories. You know, you and me are special because we've gotten to this level to do this. Every single person on the planet is extremely special. But it's like, where do you channel your energy? What are you manifesting? What are you creating in your life? And you and I have taken a lot of work after living in the trenches, after suffering and being in a lower vibrational state. And now, you know, with the healing and with the acknowledgement of the trauma, we realize, you know, well, don't do that because it hurts. You know, don't do this because it's going to hurt somebody else. And we now emanate the frequency that we want to be, and we put out the vibes that we want to receive back because we're consciously aware. But if you're not consciously aware, you know, you're doing the best you can with what you got. Can't blame anybody for that. You know.
So that night you got arrested, you wake up in a jail cell, or come to in a jail cell. From what I gathered, you were blacked out, and you kind of realized, like, oh shit, this is what's happening. Eventually, when your blood alcohol level came down to a low enough point, then you start this amazing transformation. What led up to that choice of, like, all right, this is what I'm gonna do?
Oh man, it was 2 days of just the worst depression you can imagine, like barely getting out of the bed to go to the bathroom, because I had never been arrested. That was kind of my saving grace and my excuse that I always kind of shielded myself with, is like, well, I've never been arrested, I'm not that bad. I was terrible. And that was my awareness. And the first movie that the first thing I could do was watch a documentary. And the first thing that came to me was a movie called The Reality of Truth. And that's a documentary about ayahuasca. And it's a retreat center called Rhythmia. Rhythmia is an absolutely incredible, it's a 5-star resort. They host between like 60 and 80 people a week. And since they've opened, they've helped, I want to say, like 15,000 people by now. And it started with celebrities because it's not cheap, you know, but it shouldn't be. You need to pay, so you pay the fuck attention. That's why pricing is the way it is. That's why coaching costs what it costs. Because if you're not fully invested financially, you're not going to show up. So when you pay the $6,000 to go have an experience, to look at yourself in the mirror and face those traumas, you're going to pay attention. And I took it as a university, and God bless that place, because it literally is Ayahuasca University, in my opinion. They have guest speakers. Everybody that worked there was a support system, was holding space for me. I had never, ever experienced somebody holding space. And what holding space is listening without judgment. It's ego suspension. And they're just there for you, kind of like what you do. Like, that's why we vibe so well, because you have a wonderful energy and you have an amazing gift of, you know, putting your ego aside and listening unconditionally. And that's what we all need, you know, because when I do that with clients, they will dig into the depths of their soul and just start spilling things out. And sometimes I'll have to kind of slow it down, but a lot of times it's just me holding space and allowing, because when you start digging deep, these things come out quick. And your mind goes from place to place to place, because we've all been alive for a long time. We've all had a lot of experiences, and our subconscious remembers every single one of those things. So going back to Rhythmia, I learned yoga. I learned breath work. I learned healthier eating. And through those ayahuasca ceremonies, I learned how to perform a ceremony and how to be in a ceremony. Now, they don't teach you how to perform a ceremony, but I soaked everything in, because I was at rock bottom. I was like, forget everything. I wiped the slate clean and went down there and submitted to the will of whatever was going to help me. And I found infinite intelligence. I found divine awareness. You know, if you want to say God, that's great. I'm not religious. I'm extremely spiritual. And to me, that's such unbridled power. It's a superpower that we tap into. And when we acknowledge our spiritualism, we become super beings. We become superhumans, and we have extra gifts that are blessed onto us. And like I said, it takes a lot of work and a lot of commitment and a lot of intention. So a lot of my life before was not lived with intention, and they taught me how to set intentions. And once you set an intention and work in a ceremonial way, my life was transformed completely.
And you said when I went down there, that's Costa Rica, correct?
Oh yeah, I was down in Costa Rica. Yeah, it's absolutely gorgeous.
Where specifically?
They're in Guanacaste, Costa Rica. And Jerry, the owner, has his own YouTube channel. He does videos every week on it. He's an incredible person. Gerard Armin Powell, big inspiration for me. And the biggest inspiration was Alok Apadarai. He is the owner of Uplift Millions, and he is a life coach, my mentor. Because I didn't even know what life coaching or mindset coaching was before any of this. And none of my intention is to get rich quick or, take advantage of anybody. My intention is to create a conscious community of leaders to create like a heart-driven or heart-inspired community where people come together and we create things together, events, experiences to heal, love, and support each other, to uplift the consciousness, and then create generational wealth so that the 7 generations behind me know me by name. Mm-hmm. That's my intention. That's my goal. And that's powerful.
Yeah, it's very powerful. It's a beautiful thing, man.
Thank you.
So let's go back to that first. You watch this documentary, and you think, what? You're just like right out the gate. You're like, this is it. Was your spiritual guide? Did you even know about spiritual guides at this point? Do you know anything about any of this?
So Michelle Rodriguez is a great actress. She's been in the Fast and the Furious movies, and I can't stand those movies. I think they're a joke because it's just so unbelievable.
Jumping a car out of a helicopter? That seems realistic onto a tower. Sweet, dude.
Yeah, perfect. She has an experience during the movie. Like, they don't film her ceremony, but like you see her face change from one day to the next. And she talked about relieving trauma. She talked about relieving shame, guilt, 30 years worth. And I said, well, I've done therapy. I was prescribed Xanax. I was prescribed other things. I cannot stand the pill mills, the opioids. I'm in Southwest Florida. We had a massive problem with that like 10 years ago. And I saw a lot of people lose businesses, families, homes, boats or toys. But like, to see multimillionaires go into nothing, just because of a pill, that was extremely earth-shaking to me. So like that, I didn't need help to stay away from, because I knew, and I also saw one of my friends die and then come back to life. They had to resuscitate him because of too much Xanax. So I just never was attracted to pills or that way of being, because immediately you lose control, or when they gave me Xanax, I took 2 at one time and I was a zombie, and I was just like, I don't care about anything. This is dangerous. Like, I'm not in control. Like, I could just sit here for hours and not even care. And I was just so turned off by that. Whereas like with drinking, I could still be the life of the party, have fun. I'm a great dancer. So I like to have fun. I like to get out there and, cut a rug and connect with people, because that's really what my experience has been about in life is reach. I've always been a connector. I've always wanted to bring people together. Like the couple of people we talked about that I think you should interview, they're phenomenal people. I don't refer people. So, if I put a referral or a stamp on it, that's as good as gold in the bank.
So that first experience going down to Costa Rica, are you nervous? I would be fucking nervous. I know I've looked into ayahuasca retreats, and every time I like start getting into it, I get scared and I back out.
That's okay. That's okay. It'll come to you. The medicine has a calling. So it was very clear that was my calling. And as I started learning, because they teach you about where the medicine comes from, how it's brewed, and the tribes that they get it from. So there's a sacred 6,000-year-old tradition that has been passed down in these tribes just verbally. And, it's, where does that exist in the United States? Nowhere I can think of. So to me, that profound way of being was sacred. And then everything at that experience in Rhythmia became sacred. So I just embraced it all.
What for people who are interested in doing this, like, can you kind of paint a picture for us? Like, what happens? You get down there the first day, you hop off the plane.
Oh yeah, beautiful experience. They have a great welcoming committee. They check us in. We get a little tour of the property, and then I think we had dinner, light dinner, because it was like 7 or 8 o'clock. Then the next day we do yoga at 7 a.m. They have a very advanced curriculum. You get a workbook, you get a lot of tools that they help you with. The first 2 days, I don't think we did medicine, and then it was like the second, third, fourth, and fifth, or second, third, and fourth. So there's 4 nights we did medicine. The first night wasn't very psychedelic for me. I was reliving a lot of traumas, So there was, I think 69 people there when I went. So we have to get in line, and they have basically 2 people serving medicine. So you have to wait a while. So the whole time you're in line, you've got a little shot glass that they're giving you so you have your amount of medicine. And like some people are trembling, and some people were there for cancer. They couldn't drink the medicine, so they would give them a tincture. So there was all walks of life there. There's old people, young people. Some people actually left early, when I was there, and I'm still friends with them. But it was just, that blew my mind, because I'm like, how can you invest in this and leave? Like, how could you not want? And the one guy was so freaked out. He's like, what happened? Like, I don't get this. And he just wasn't comfortable there. So by the time I get my first cup of medicine on the first night, or the first night we do ceremony, and I just start purging. I just start vomiting really violently. And then, 15 minutes later, I have to go to the bathroom, and it's diarrhea. Mm-hmm. It is coming out. And then after the second cup of medicine, it was coming out of both ends. And I was in a bathroom. Like, you're aware. You're aware to kind of see things, but you may visualize things. It's very different for everybody. They have like 4 categories of things that you would see, like a pinta, emotional traumas and releases, astral traveling, connection with lost loved ones, or it's the vine of the dead is what ayahuasca is known for. So they mix ayahuasca and chacruna together, and you get these brews, and that's what you drink. And then the last one is called a nada. So a nada means nothing in Spanish, and that's really what the shaman aim for, because if you can go into an experience and have nothing happen, then you're going to get the downloads. The medicine works through you. It's got a cumulative effect, which is why they have you drink 4 nights. So the medicine goes into your brain, it expands your consciousness for one, but it's repairing neural synapses, it's repairing it's rewiring your brain, reprogramming you, and allowing you to forgive yourself and move on. So the first night was very, very intense for me, where I was purging a lot. They give you a bucket, and then they give you a roll of toilet paper so you can blow your nose, and your buckets for vomiting, and then the bathrooms, they have a lot of bathrooms available. And it's a big maloka. So a maloka is a big sacred area where they perform the ceremonies, and theirs, from what I understand, has grown since I was there. And it's a beautiful area. It's probably 10-foot ceilings with peaks in the middle that are up to 20 feet. So it's expansive. Like when you look up, you can see things. And the first night was just releasing a lot of trauma, things that had happened with my drinking from all of the ages up, and even past things from before that when I was a little kid. So I really felt like withdrawals and uncomfortable, and I kept remembering asking for water, and water totally messes with the experience. It's like a contraindicator, and it kind of thins out the process and can make it a bad experience. So they don't let you have, you're just not supposed to drink water. You can rinse your mouth out after you take it, because it's a root. It tastes like the earth. It tastes like you're drinking dirt a little bit. Mm-hmm. But the power in that medicine is just so profound that it's really hard to put into words. It's an experience. It's not just, I'm going down here and I'm going to drink this tea and my life's going to be better. No, you have to take the awareness. Like whatever you see in your journey, the medicine is showing you. Mm-hmm. And it's not going to show you more than you can handle. Mm-hmm. It's more of like, here's your awareness. Whatever intention you set before the ceremony, the medicine is going to bring to you. And then they help you set intentions as the nights go on. So like as you heal one part of it, you move on to the next intention. And then if you've already been there, they have a whole nother set of intentions for you. And then there's people that go there, every quarter. There's people that go there all the time. But for me, it's more of a sacred spiritual quest, like a pilgrimage, to where I go down there where the tribes create the medicine. And it's an energetic vortex. Costa Rica is a blue zone, as well as Naples. Naples is also a blue zone. And those are energetic areas, and areas that money needs to flow through, and money is flowing through. But they're very incredible places. So Costa Rica is really where I felt like I was reborn, but into this life, mm-hmm. Into this advanced version of myself, where I'm still everything that I used to be. I still maintained all the knowledge, and I've actually become way better at the other things that, the air conditioning stuff, and then my relationships. Because I'm so consciously aware of how I'm always watching myself. I'm the observer of my experience, and that's what life is. So I'm projecting out to my wife, or if like she's making me breakfast after I get back from the gym, I'm going to stand there and massage her back and kiss her cheek and whisper sweet nothings into her ear to acknowledge the gratitude I have for her making me breakfast. Because that's going to in turn make my day better. Mm-hmm. So she's taking time out of her day to acknowledge me and support me and love me. Why can't I go up to her and just give her a little bit of love? And that was missing. You know, it wasn't a thing that I consciously thought about all the time. It was like, where can I add more love into every situation I am? Where can I be more compassionate? Where can I improve people's lives? Where can I uplift humanity? And ever since I got back, it's been nonstop work because there's so much work to do.
When you leave there, are you feeling like an instant relief after the 4 days you're hopping on that plane? How are you feeling on the way home?
I don't want to get too much into the last night experience, but it was very, very eye-opening, and I realized that there was something attached to me that was released. So that last day for me was tough in the fact that I knew that I wasn't in control of some of the things, but I also had to be accountable for the way I had been living. So it was just, I can't put it into words. It's just insane. So after you get back, the medicine, like I said, it has a cumulative buildup. And I wasn't smoking marijuana or doing anything like that. And I haven't drank since I went back, since I got arrested. So, I mean, that's been a part of my life that's gone. Gave it away during ceremony. Basically, with my drinking, I looked at it as it was a girlfriend I used to have, but now I have a sacred union, a sacred relationship with my wife. Mm-hmm. So that old girlfriend doesn't have any part in my life. How could it? Mm-hmm. So I've given alcoholism away during my ceremony, and I've never looked back. You know, it's like people around me drink all the time, all designated drive. I want to make sure people are safe mm-hmm. and supported. Now, that doesn't mean I'm going to go hang out at a bar, but I definitely have a better concept of like where I need to be, how I need to be, and accountability and responsibility.
So after you get back here, how quickly are you thinking that, hey, I want to start a business where I can pass along this information and start helping people?
That didn't come for a while because my biggest blessing from the medicine came when I had a dream when I got home. That's that dream. Do you want to talk about it now?
Yeah.
Okay. So when I got back, 2 days after I got back, I had the most powerful revelation of my entire existence, and it blew me out even bigger. So I had this dream where I am crying, screaming, kicking my hands and feet as a baby, tears rolling down my face, and my mom standing there in the nursery just kind of looking at me in disapproval, like disgusted, you know, like, and she just gave birth to me, right? So my dad runs in right after her, and he's like, what are you doing? Pick him up, love him, like he's crying, take care of him, you know? And she's just like, that's not what I wanted. I didn't want him. I didn't want a boy. I wanted a girl. And, you know, that's fair enough because I honor that. I understand because she took the time to make me. She created me out of her loins. I am her creation. I am her love. And my dad was a big part of that. So I know that she loves me, but I, as the infant, was aware that I accepted her disownment at that point. So ever since that moment in my life, I looked at myself as never going to be good enough. I could never succeed because I could not physically be female because I was born a male. And I don't want to get into, you know, the transsexual stuff and all that because it wasn't 2023 back then. Mm-hmm. It was 1987. Mm-hmm. So that stuff didn't exist. It wasn't a big thing. I don't want to upset anybody. I support and love all sexualities, all people, and you have the right to express yourself and be who you want to be, and I support that. So I did not want to be a girl, and I am not, and I realize I'm a divine balance of the male and female, and I have to consciously be aware to create a safe space for women to feel safe around me, and then for men. So with that dream, after I was able to see that, I went and talked to my dad. We had lunch, and I just asked him, I was like, hey, did this happen? And I told him the story, and his eyes just bugged out of his head, and he freaked out. So my dad's gay. Mm-hmm. So we've had that conversation. We've been down that road. We've had a lot of healing, and he and I were closer, as I said, growing up. So I went to him first to kind of ask him, and he just freaked out. He just couldn't. He was like, don't tell your mom we had this conversation. There's no way you could have known this. Like, your brother wasn't even around. Like, he was beside himself. And, like, he's a religious person. So, like, he was, like, right then and there, he's like, there's something to this medicine. There's something to this. But, like, I think it freaked him out.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's supernatural. I mean, it's just supernatural.
Mind-blowing.
So then, me being me, you know, I didn't listen to him. I went and talked to my mom, like, the next day. And I didn't confront her about it. I just said, Mom, I love you. We need to have a conversation. I just need to ask you a few questions. And we went into that, and it was the most healing experience we've ever had together. And it wasn't the easiest conversation. It didn't start off smooth because obviously there's going to be a little defense. There's going to be a little, and now she and I can experience each other in such a different way because I feel accepted, I feel loved and supported, and she's so proud of me because, like you said, you asked me when did I want to do that experience, so that blew my mind. And that's when like the shoe dropped, and I was like, this is it? This is what I've been identifying with? This is my identification of trauma?
Wow.
Is that I can't be a girl? What is wrong with you, dude? You're incredible. Look at all these other things you've accomplished and done and all the lives you've impacted. I'm an infinite being. I can do anything, and I have done so many great things, but I was living in this limited belief that I was never going to be good enough. And my God, was it so like freeing. And it just opened me up to feel like, yeah, okay, if I have this story. And then I told my story to a few people, and they were like, yeah, you gotta tell this. This is amazing. Like, it's gonna help people. So I started talking to veterans, and then eventually because my father-in-law was a veteran of the Vietnam War, so I wanted to start there because I know there's a lot of healing that needs to be done with war veterans. They've been through things that none of us can fathom. And
Definitely.
God bless the soldiers. They're all heroes.
I agree.
So about 6 months after I got back, I started looking into like what an LLC would be. So it actually took me about a year, to get certified, get the LLC, and, really make sure that was a commitment I want, because as soon as I looked up life coach on Google, it looked like a joke to me. And it looked like, just a bunch of phonies. And I'm a very genuine person. Like I said, I don't refer people. I don't mention or comment on anything if I don't personally know about it or haven't personally experienced it.
Yeah, I don't want to hate on life coaches, but we had this conversation before the cameras were rolling. It's just, I feel like life coach is like, I don't know, a lot of people identify as
it's a box.
Yeah.
I'm not in a box.
No.
You can't peg me down, because
No.
there's so much that comes involved with me. When you sign up to work with me, we're not just working on, your family issues or your personal struggles. We're going to work on everything that's going to create a better environment in your family life, in your work life, in your person, in every aspect of your life. And it doesn't have to be religious based. Whatever you are, I conform and I work with everybody, and I certainly don't judge, because again, we're all here to celebrate each other and hold space for each other. So it's a lot of spirituality. It's also a lot of, but that doesn't come until the end. Like, the first part of these processes are very deep accountability work that we do. It's workbooks, it's reading. I may even watch a movie with you. It's really dependent upon what the client's looking for and what they want to heal. And I will do a lot of research to bring, the resources that I have to them, because my job is to be a resource for you. I'm an outlet of support, love, guidance. And if you need help, looking for truth or looking for wisdom, I will do everything I can in my power to do that for you. I'm a facilitator of life. I love it.
You might have lost a few people at accountability. We all know how the world is these days. A lot of people like accountability.
I have had so many clients pay up in full, and after the first or second session, they back out. And that's on them. I'm always here. If they want to come back, they still have their sessions. But I don't hold on to that forever. I certainly don't take it personally, because I understand it's terrifying to look in the mirror and see that you are the cause of a lot of things. Because I always tell people, the universe is perfect and life happens for you. Life is a blessing that happens for you. Only good things happen to you, and that's the perspective you have when you're empowered. If you are a victim, life is happening to you. You're a victim to the circumstances of what are happening. So when I was identifying with the victim mentality, everything seemed like, oh my God, the world's crushing down on me. And now that I'm empowered, and I'm like, well, that guy just cut me off in traffic. Oh, well, thank God he did, because I'm slowing down now and there's an accident up there, or, it stopped me from hitting a dog. There's all these different things that you have to just look around. It's not all about the guy cutting you off and he's an asshole. Like, get over that. Get over your ego. And that's the other thing, is you have to observe the ego, the conscious thoughts. We're a lot. Human beings are a lot. I mean, it's just a fact. You can't box us into one thing. Like, sure, you can try and classify somebody as a redneck or a racist or, gay, straight, whatever. Why? Because everybody is so much more than that. Every single person. If I like reggae, I'm not one thing. Because I like reggae, country, everything. I'll listen to anything. But most of the time I spend listening to like podcasts or mindfulness, or even hertz. I listen to meditative hertz. Because there's so many things that are programmed. Like we talked about, the music is programmed to 440 hertz. Well, that causes confusion. It causes anxiety. And these things eventually cause depression, especially scrolling social media. There's algorithms that are designed to be divisive. There are algorithms that are designed to create fights. They're gonna verge people that they know are gonna argue with you, or there's trolls out there. I mean, we all are who we are. There's 8 billion of us out there, so we're not all gonna swim nicely next to each other. But the more we can just be aware that, hey, that person's not gonna vibe with me, or maybe I don't vibe with them. I love you. You have every right to be who you are, where you are. You are divine. I respect you. I honor you. I'm gonna be over here doing me.
Mm-hmm. When you got back from that first ceremony, was there a clear difference in your relationship with was she your wife at this point?
Yes.
Then?
Yes,
So
she was my wife.
Did you have like a newfound, I mean, obviously you love her and you respected her all along, but did you have like a newfound appreciation for her or anything? Was there like another
One word,
level?
gratitude.
Yeah.
Just so much gratitude.
That's awesome.
She's the most incredible person I've ever met in my life. You know, and by societal standards, people are judgmental. She's the most beautiful woman, and she loves and supports, and she has a heart. I'm sorry, I get a little emotional when I think about her, because she is my best friend. She is my support system, and we work together with clients. And I'm not afraid of crying or being vulnerable, but it's like I get so emotional on a profound level. It cuts to me to the core. Just to think about the love that we have and the sacred spiritual relationship and the connection that we have. Mm-hmm. So she's my biggest fan. I'm her biggest fan, and we have so much fun together.
Mm-hmm. I could tell from the moment you started talking about her, just the way you lit up, man. Like as soon as she got mentioned prior to this, it's just, you can tell that there's so much love there, so much respect there, so much appreciation, and it makes me just genuinely happy for you. I think in today's world, you see a lot of relationships where the only time you hear about someone talking about their partner is when they're complaining.
I get that a lot. Which
is very disappointing, because I personally, like, I've never went up to one of my friends and said, Emma, she's such a da-da-da-da-da, or Emma did this, or Emma did that. The only time I ever talking about Emma to my friends or to anyone is... Yes.
Uplifting.
That's exactly it. And it makes me sad because
she empowers you, brother.
I mean, that's it.
She builds you up, and she admires you. I've never even met her. I still haven't met her, but through your pictures and through your posts and like that one podcast you said, oh my God, that hit me to the core too, because it was so similar to my story and my struggle with alcoholism, and my girl always being there and just rubbing my back and supporting me. You know, I didn't have long hair back then, but she would have held my hair back if I needed to throw up. I mean, she was there for the good, bad, ugly, and now we are celebrating life, and we are just living our dreams and having so much fun.
Yeah, it's such an amazing thing, man. Yeah, I just wish that there's more people. If you're watching this podcast and you have a significant other, go and just let them know that you appreciate them and stop complaining about everything.
Go love them.
Just go
give
love them.
Give them a hug. Give them a kiss.
Yeah.
Give them a long hug.
Yeah.
If it's uncomfortable, hug them even longer, because you're connecting at that point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just too bad how things have started to shake out in society these days. It's interesting, but so you get done with this. You get done with the first ceremony. You have this dream, which is obviously very transformative in itself. And then you decide that you want to help others. Do you start diving further into the medicines? Is there more than one medicine? How does this look for you? What's this?
So my journey, I also want to be very conscientious that I wasn't looked at as like replacing alcohol with something else. So I did take about 6 months before I went, and I actually worked at a ketamine clinic. So I immediately kind of had a guard up, because ketamine is not naturally produced. It is a synthetic drug. It is a medicine. It can be used as a drug. And I see a lot more people even come out to me using it in more of a drug recreational way. And you can tell me your story, but I am not resonating with that. Every time I did a ketamine experience, I would do the rapé that we did, and then have a little bit of a meditation beforehand. And I had very spiritual, expansive things that happen in mine. And ketamine is a very psychedelic experience. It's, about a 45-minute like experience where you're deep in the medicine, but your whole session's about 2 hours, because you're going to be groggy afterwards, and there's some recovery time. But basically, you would lay back in a chair. You would get a intramuscular shot. That's, to me, is the best way to do it, because you're getting the medicine right there. And within 5 minutes or so, you start to feel the effects. So ketamine is an anesthetic. and they give you a very mild dose of it. So if they were going to put you out for a surgery, it's safe. You know, they use it on cats, and they use it on infants for surgery. And it's been around. It was the only medicine that came through the war of drugs. Like that was the only thing that was not banned because they needed it for medical. Well, now they don't use ketamine for anesthetics anymore. They use other things because people were having a lot of profound experiences coming out of ketamine, out of their surgeries.
People are waking up.
Yeah.
we can't have that happening. Shut that down right now.
Yeah, so now there's these incredible places. The place I worked at was My Self Wellness. A good friend of mine, Charles Patty, owns it. He's their brand ambassador, and he healed a lot with that medicine. To me, that was part of my journey, you know, learning all that, being in that environment, because it was a very clinical experience. Whereas Rhythmia is like a resort style. There is a doctor. You do see a doctor. You have a consultation. They even have like an enema clinic at Rhythmia. At Myself, it was, you know, Dr. Ferber was their psychiatrist. And they had, I think, 4 rooms where people would have experiences. And, you know, you would get the people who genuinely needed healing and wanted healing from, we'd get drug addicts and alcohol and, you know, people with trauma, severe trauma, you know, rape, all that stuff. And then you would get the people that wanted to come in and do it recreationally. And after their, you know, second or third experience trying to be recreational, you could tell that they were having spiritual experiences and healing experiences. And it didn't be like they didn't want to get messed up anymore. It was more like, I'm going to do my 6 treatments and I'm going to quit smoking. I'm going to start eating healthier. I'm going to go to the beach. I'm going to be a better version of myself. So the medicine works through you. It was so profound to see the healing power that even these people, knowing that they had the intention, no intention, really, they wanted to get messed up. And then the medicine working through that, to me, was so powerful. Even though it's not a natural occurring substance, like it's a chemical substance that we're ingesting, and it's a powerful experience. So after the ketamine, I started working really hard I hired another coach, and I've invested a lot, you know, in the last 3 years, probably $100,000 in my healing, my expansion, my continued education, because I am so obsessed and dedicated to this passion and this commitment I have to uplift humanity and, you know, heal the consciousness of the planet. So after that, I switched directions and I went back to ayahuasca, but I went to a savage encounter. Now, this experience was so vastly different from Rhythmia. They changed the name from Savage Encounter to something else, and I don't want to plug that. So the Savage Encounter was literally so savage, and I was drinking medicine with giants. There were 3 guys like over 6'5" there out of the 15 of us. So these, you know, I'm 5'8", 170 pounds. These guys are 300-pound men having 1 cup of ayahuasca out, like crying, bawling. They're getting carried to the bathroom. 3 people are carrying 1 person to and from the bathroom because they either pass out in the bathroom from the medicine or they're having such a deep experience. And it's like, what's going on with me if I'm not experiencing what they're experiencing? But I realized that my healing was happening before the ceremonies. I was doing a lot of crying and a lot of purging before even we would get into ceremony during the days, because I had a lot of stuff weighing on my mind. I had things that I needed to let go of, like I said, the old construct of what I was supposed to be and who I really am. So once the Buddhists say that suffering comes from attachment, and I was suffering. So when I detached and disassociated from other people's constructs about me, I really expanded. But I didn't have to like vomit and purge, and I wasn't seeing, you know, multidimensional beings. I was actually just like another facilitator in that experience, and I was holding space for the men that were crying and, you know, helping them carry them and this, that, and the other. And they were even, you know, there was one guy whose ego, you know, I don't want to blame or anything, but they were actually bringing the medicine to him because they were like, this isn't an offering. Like, you need to do this. This is why you're here, you know, because he didn't want to drink any more medicine. And then his session got way wild. It was things I've never experienced. It was not a fun experience, you could say, but it was an extremely expansive experience. And I was able to realize that I am a medicine facilitator at that point because I'm so comfortable in that realm of, like, most people would be uncomfortable with grown men screaming, crying, puking, going to the bathroom. And even at one point, it was very symbolic. They told me, don't move. I sat up and they said, don't move. And they were carrying this guy back to his bed, one of the 6'6" guys, totally incapacitated by 2 cups of medicine. And my first night at Rhythmia, I did 4 cups of medicine. It's not an ego thing. It's not a brag, but like as you're going through things, the more, you need. So these guys didn't need that much medicine. There was a 4-nostril snake that's only indigenous to Colombia, and it's one of the most toxic, poisonous snakes. And it had coiled up on my bed right behind me when they were dragging this other guy, because I was sitting up meditating. So they grabbed a shovel, one of the guys, and killed it, and took, got it out of there. But it was just I was so comfortable in the face of danger. Mm-hmm. It didn't move. It didn't faze me. And I realized I was so empowered and so supported spiritually that I mean, you have an ego death when you go through these experiences every single time. So with ketamine, with any psychedelic medicine experience, it's kind of designed for you to die from this reality, disassociate from it, and then you expand and see the things from like 30,000 feet. If you're standing this close to a brick wall, all you see is red. Mm-hmm. When you back up, you start to see the lines around it. Oh, well, that brick wall is actually the front of a house. Oh, the front of the house is in this, this, and this. And it just expands and goes bigger and bigger. So when you can see your life from 30,000 feet, you realize that your decisions and the things that you're trying to control it's preposterous. It's wildly inappropriate that you can think that you have that much control over your life. You really just have the choice of, where can I add more love, or am I going to go positive or negative? Or I like to use the analogy of like Christ consciousness versus Satan or Luciferian consciousness. So every single day we have thousands of choices and repetitive thoughts, like 90,000, 70,000 thoughts a day, depending on our consciousness. And they're repetitive. So the more we can aim towards that enlightenment, towards that Christ consciousness, or the embodiment of being a good person, just a great influence around us, that's what improves our lives. Mm-hmm. And when you put your head in the sand, sometimes that Luciferian consciousness takes over because you're not making the choice. Mm-hmm. Or you'd rather just scroll on your phone. You'd rather take a distraction instead of once you heal it, it's not a big deal. But people build up in their minds that it's so much to like, oh, I can't do it. And it's like, just do it. Mm-hmm. Just let it out. Just get it out. Just go. Because once you get there, we're going to be standing here together, confident, empowered, and able to, take on anything. Like you and I both said, we're really comfortable in difficult situations or, having uncomfortable conversations. That doesn't come from leaving an easy life. Mm-hmm. Neither one of us were silver spoon fed, and we've both worked and been through a lot of things. Your journey's yours, mine is mine, but it's made us who we are today. Mm-hmm. And both of us are so grateful for everything that's part of it. Like my accountability, that's who I was now, but now look how great I am. Mm-hmm. I was great back then, but it's like I'm even better now. Mm-hmm. And it's wonderful. It's really a different way of thinking, different way of being.
It's so it's just so refreshing to.
I was just thinking about saying refreshing.
But specifically, like listening to you talk, and like you have so much hope and drive and motivation in your voice. Like you don't.
If I don't have that, who does?
But that's
who else is going to be that? I'm that.
Yeah, for sure. But
so that's what the medicine has taught me is like, I need to be the voice of hope. I need to, a spark is all it takes to create a fire. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So if I can spark some people and get them ignited, or if I trigger you, you should definitely hire me. Cause those are things that I'm the reflection that you don't want to see.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah. I'm the awareness that you can't handle.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
It's just, very refreshing. It's nice to, it's just nice to sit across from someone who has so much life in their eyes. It's very often you come across people these days who are just asleep and head in the sand, and they just don't. It's
easier. It's comfortable, right?
So comfortable
because we're so used to it.
Yeah, it's sad,
But hey, today could be your day to wake up.
Yeah, definitely. So you eventually come back from this second. We used to call it Savage Encounters.
It was a Savage Encounter.
Is that literally what it was called?
That's what it was called, because I was living with the Nagano tribe down in the jungle. It was 4 hours away, 5 hours away from the city. So we were out in the middle of the jungle.
I think poor marketing, maybe. Savage Encounters. It's scary.
I wanted that. I wanted to go live in the jungle. I would never attend that one again. God bless those guys and their journey, but they specifically wanted to go after the male consciousness and the ego and this and that. And yes, I do agree with them. That needs to be done, and that's part of their journey, and that's why they're here expressing what they are. And that's such a blessing for them. To me, I got the awarenesses that I can hold space and that I'm a healer, even deeper than just like life coaching. Like when people have psychedelic experiences, you're the most vulnerable you've ever been. You know, I've taken my shorts and shirt off because I don't want to be constricted or feel my body, because like it's such an out of body experience. So to be able to witness people and allow them just to be and have their process, they come out of it with more trust for me than anybody they've ever met, because they've experienced something they've never experienced. It's just like having a kid with somebody. When you have a baby with that person, why do you think moms and dads that split up are so bitter towards each other? Because they created a life together and then they've separated. And who's going to be in control? Whose ego is going to win at this point? And sadly, in Southwest Florida, it leads towards the women a lot. And women are wonderful; they're creators. But we all need our parents. We all need a whole community. We all need the support, because otherwise we deal with abandonment issues. Even though my mom was completely present and there, I didn't feel abandoned, but I resonated with not good enoughness.
Yeah,
You know.
Definitely. So what I know before we had the cameras on, we mentioned other types of medicines. What are some of the other medicines that you've tried, and what were your experiences with them?
So I have tried synthetic DMT. Wasn't a bad experience, but I wouldn't go down that road again. And I also did it without a shaman, so that was a learning lesson. I did have a spotter. There was somebody there with me. It was held in a ceremonial way, and it wasn't a bad experience. But then I moved back to just natural, so I'm a big proponent of plant medicine. It grows naturally. There are thousands and thousands, like the Egyptians go to the Blue Lotus, which is a very long experience. That's what the, old ancient civilizations used to do. Yeah, that is my card there. And that came to me after the ayahuasca adventure. And as their chakras become enlightened or, enlarged, they change into those multicolors to represent every spectrum of the rainbow, because we are infinite intelligence. We are everything. So when you're every color and you're every part of it, it doesn't have anything to do with a rainbow or being gay. It's everything, because we are all everything. So then, we go from ayahuasca to my most recent experience was changa, which is a smokable form. It originated in Australia. They call it zanga. But a lot of these cultures have their own medicines and their own ceremonies that they do. So, Australia has that. The Egyptians have the Blue Lotus. South Africa and Africa and Nigeria have ibogaine or iboga. Mushrooms are everywhere. Mushrooms are a big thing. I do love mushrooms. They're a great part of it. I think it's a better medicine for microdosing, me personally, because it gets people to expand. I have done a couple hero journeys, you would call them. And, it's not always peaceful. It's super intense and it lasts a long time. So I like to do like a little bit and maybe go on a hike up in Oregon or something. It's totally legal in Oregon. They have dispensaries for mushrooms there. So that was the last mushroom experience I had. That was wonderful. That was a couple years ago. Changa is a smokable DMT form. It's basically smokable ayahuasca. It's ayahuasca that you can smoke out of a pipe or a bong, however you want to do it, however they provide the medicine. And it's DMT. It's like raw DMT. And DMT is dimethyltryptamine. It's produced in our brain in the pineal gland. And a lot of our pineal glands are calcified because of our diets, lack of sunlight, and, lack of harmony with the universe, basically, harmony with nature. Because a lot of us exist inside in four walls all the time. Just this geometric structure that we're in is not conducive to our health. Why were the pyramids shaped the way they were? Why are other homes shaped in a conical way? Those conical, pyramidical structures create energy vortexes, and that's conducive to healing. It's conducive to longevity of life. The Sumerian tablets talk about kings that lived for 400 years, and it's a Sumerian tablet. It's not a storybook. That was meant to be. These things are all coming out, and I don't know if you've ever heard of Billy Carson. He's wonderful. He has a book called the Emerald Tablets, and it's he just breaks down kind of what the emerald tablets that were found, and it's an emerald tablet. It is massive, and it's been etched with Sumerian text. And it just holds the secrets of the wisdom and everything. I don't want to give any of the secrets of the book away, because he's a great guy and he's worked really hard on what he's done, and he owns forbidden knowledge. So he's a great inspirer and influencer to me, especially for the Black community, because we all need help and support. But I think it's important that spirituality is glossed over with every single race, sector. So to get back to Changa, that for me, ayahuasca has had some psychedelic because it has a DMT too. It has had some psychedelic properties for me, and I've seen some expansive things. But it's more of like an 8-hour journey, where Changa is 15, 20, 30 minutes maybe. Extremely psychedelic. That is a whole different level. It's hard to tap into and really put into words, but there's so much energy and so many things going on around us at all times. And that medicine really humbled me, because I hadn't had a lot of like deep psychedelic, like in your face experiences where it's like, hey, here's fifth dimension. Here you go. I know you're used to the third dimension, but here it is. So in that journey, though, the facilitator looked over at me about halfway through. And the beginning of it was very, very intense for me. A beautiful experience. It wasn't too much. It just showed me a lot at one time, and it was a little overwhelming in the beginning. But that's what it is. That's what fifth density is. That's what fourth and fifth density are. We're kind of in the fourth density. We're working our way up right now. The planet's evolving. The consciousness is evolving. I'm not just talking out of my ass. There is a Schumann resonance book on Facebook that you can check out. And it's actually the resonant frequency of the earth, and daily they change, they have updates, and there's a whole group of, over 100,000 followers. So
that's crazy.
It's wild. Yeah. There's a vibrational frequency to every single thing. This microphone, you, me, everything. And what our vibration is putting out is going to be a reflection of what we receive. So that medicine experience showed me, and she looked over at me, like I said, and it was almost like, brother, we do this all the time. There's nothing to be afraid of. This is your path. This is what you're supposed to do. And that right there was like, okay, I thought I was going to be a plant medicine facilitator. And it's like, now the universe has been waiting for me to accept this calling and to accept this gift and this blessing that I have to offer people. So right after that, we started speaking, and, I've been working with the shaman now and working on that. And it's a long process, and it's a very sacred. It's not just like, hey, here's a 6-month online course. No, you have to walk the walk. You have to do the work. And I'm going to put to bed this one thing. People say that shamans, I've heard these stories, shaman get tied to a tree because shaman have a long belt. And it's meant to bind the feet for people who are going wild, like bind the feet and hands for people who are having a very violent or wild experience. People have twisted that and turned it into the shaman itself gets bound to the tree and then force-fed like 9 cups of ayahuasca to have No, sure, they have their rites of passage, but nobody's ever forcefully fed the medicine. That is a lie. That is not true. Somebody's just trying to create a, fantastic story to tell. And that's typically people who either haven't experienced the medicine, or maybe they did like a one-time experience and they heard a story and they want to, oh, I'm in the plant medicine, I know what I'm doing. No, you don't. You don't understand it, because you wouldn't communicate about it like that. You wouldn't take away the sacred experience of it by popularizing a bullshit story. That's not enough information for me. So the people at the Savage Encounter did put that one to bed, and I thought that was the right person to ask, because I'd heard it like 3 times that year from different people, and I was just like, that doesn't make any sense to me. Like, but that's kind of what I saw at that experience. So that's kind of why I asked him. I was like, is this what you guys really do? I don't know.
Do you imagine? Oh my God.
I saw that. I mean, I saw them force feed the guy the medicine, and then he had a wild experience. I mean, there was 2 shaman holding him down, and then the other people, they're helping him out.
Yeah, but there was purpose behind it.
Yeah. Absolutely. It was just really like jarring to see, because it was so vastly different from the love and the light and would you like some more, to like, I know you're having a tough time, it's okay, to like, you need to drink this. This is why you're here. You're doing this. It was like, okay, wait, this is, Mother Ayahuasca. We talked about the vibrations and the energies. Well, ayahuasca is a very sacred feminine divine energy, and she's tapped into Mother Earth because she's a root, and she grows out of the earth and she grows deep into the earth. It takes a long time to create this medicine, but you also have the rapé is a tobacco-based medicine, and tobacco is a grandfather spirit. So you have to know what you're getting into. Chango is, again, ayahuasca, so that's a more motherly. I saw a lot more feminine divine energy in that experience. And the next one I have planned is 5-MeO. It's an actual Bufo alvarius. But that's with the tribe that is known as the keepers of that medicine. So a lot of tribes are known for a certain thing. It could be a tribe that is the keepers of the wind or keepers of the water. The Nganos were the water people, but they also work with the plant medicine. So it's all one thing. They do identify with source and nature, and that's their connection to it. It's not to box them to one thing, but that's like, hey, this is our lineage. This is where we come from. This is what our sacred story is, and it keeps the beauty of the ancient stories alive. It just keeps the civilization and the experience alive. So the bufo alvaris is extracted from the sacred toad, as it's known, or whatever. There's a lot of jokes about people licking toads and all that. And that's not. It's extracted, it's dried, and it comes out to like a little papery substance, and then you smoke that as well. And that again is like maybe a 15 to 40 minute, experience, but 5 MEO DMT. So it's 5 times changa. So if I'm to be on this path, I need to be very comfortable with these medicines. And even shaman do not take these medicines alone. It's always in a spiritual ceremonial setting with intention. And that's what people need to understand mostly is, yes, these medicines are very powerful, very psychedelic. You can see aliens. You can have extraterrestrial surgery or interdimensional surgery people have. They see all kinds of things. Pintas are just like visions and lights and colors and unexplainable, like some people see neon snakes, And the end of my changa experience, I shed a reptilian skin. I was seeing a lot of things, but that's part of the enlightenment journey. As, we are part reptilian. It's part of our reptilian brain. We have a mammalian brain. But as we shed these things that no longer serve us, that's why the, Egyptians on the pharaoh, they have the king cobra right there. Because the sign of enlightenment is shedding all that doesn't serve us anymore to become this highest enlightened self. And in no way, shape, or form am I a guru or do I have it all figured out. I am walking the path just like each and every one of you, day by day, with intention. So I am not at the top of the mountain looking down at anybody. I'm here just like you guys, humble in service to you. And I am an outlet for you. I want to be a resource. I am a tool for you to use to empower yourself and build yourself up and feel confident. Because I look at these experiences, of course, I have trepidation. There's a healthy fear going into each one of these because, yes, I live my life with intention and integrity and beautiful love, but it's profound experiences that you're having. It's out of this world. There's many other universes that exist, and that's a scientific fact now. The universe is only getting bigger. It's always expanding. It's always getting bigger. And the fact that there's 8 billion people and there's so many algorithms that keep us small and boxed in to give us this postage stamp view of life, to think that this society that I live in is all that exists. No, it's so much bigger. It's so much more beautiful. And, I empower everybody to become an entrepreneur, to tap into your soul's purpose. And here's a free one right now. If you ever have a doubt or you ever have a question of what is going, what's going to serve my highest good, ask your soul. Close your eyes, calm your breathing down, take 3 deep breaths in through the nose, out through the mouth. Say, what does my soul need right now? And I guarantee you will get some inkling of an answer, because you're going to be intentionally tapping into your spiritual power, and it is a superpower. And like I said, it's unbridled power. Whatever big power plant you can imagine, just way bigger. It's incredible, and it's boundless. It never stops. There's infinite intelligence and infinite energy all around us. And the more we can slow things down, society has got us tapped into these quick, easy fixes. Oh, I'm not going to sell you a pill and fix your life. One plant medicine experience is not going to fix your life. It's not about like, oh yeah, well, I went and did this 12 times. Great. I've also been a big proponent of the Kundalini activation process, which is called CAP. I am not a facilitator, so I can't really speak about it, but I've got a really, really good soul sister. Her name is Stephanie Ongari, who I'd love you to have on the show. She's incredible. She's from Venezuela, and she has her own story of trauma and needing to get healed, and her healing is through CAP. And my wife got a lot of healing through CAP after her father passed away. My father-in-law, God bless him. I saw him in my last changa experience. I have connected with lost loved ones in these, and it's very serious, and it's very profound and very real. So Stephanie works with us and does CAP, and you can do CAP online. It doesn't. You don't have to be in the same room. And I recommend doing group settings. I highly recommend doing group healing for people. For one, it's normally more cost effective. 2, even if you don't share, people will share, and it will relate. The universe has mysterious ways of communicating to you through other people. So you'll get a lot out of it. And you don't have to share. It's your right to do so. feel however you want and expand or contract as much as you want. But I advise you to go into life, open your heart, and just experience it all. So CAP is similar to, it's a little bit like a psychedelic medicine experience. The energy is free flowing. It moves through your body, and it's Kundalini energy that exists within us from birth. And then as tragedy and, traumas happen and people ask us to be smaller because, we're being wild, whatever, it just kind of goes down. So this CAP, these people are activated, and it's an energetic transmission, and they bring the energy to and through your body. And I hosted quite a few events with Stephanie this past summer, and she's going to get level 2 certified right now. That's her passion. That's her obsession. That's her life's goal. Just like mine is. It's not coaching. It's facilitating life with people, creating better experiences. So we've created a really powerful bond and just like a brother-sisterhood friendship. And my wife is really close with her, so we just communicate a lot. And it's nice because with CAP, you can just open your eyes and the experience will stop. If it's too intense for you, and that's okay. And it's just like plant medicine. It gives you what you need at that moment. It's intelligent energy. Whereas, like, if you take a Xanax, that Xanax is only going to block out the dopamine receptors and, cause issues.
Right.
Basically, in the long run. It's not even a Band-Aid on a gaping wound. I can't even put an analogy to it. It's worthless. I'm sorry if anybody is going through that. I don't want to put that out, but it's just not helping.
Yeah, I mean, I think most people, if they're paying attention to what's going on in the world right now, I think that most people probably know that most medicine is complete bullshit. And
Western medicine.
Yeah, Western medicine.
It has its place. I don't want to knock it completely. It does help a lot of people.
Yeah,
and it's,
definitely.
But it's designed to fail.
Yeah.
And whereas these other ones, they're exponentially undescribable of how much impact they create in the world.
Right. Yeah, like you said, a lot of them are just Band-Aids. And if you need a Band-Aid to get you through,
that's okay.
That's perfectly fine. Yeah. But there's other things out there that can actually fix the problem if you seek them out and do the work, Mm-hmm. If you were going to, first of all, with how you run it feels weird even calling it a business because it's like it feels so much deeper than that. But like with your business, right? Is it something that people could get in contact with you and it could be remote if they wanted it to be, or would you prefer in person only?
Oh, I definitely do remote one-on-one coaching right now. We're making plans for group coaching coming up in the future, but I'm not sure what that's going to look like for me because I'm not the kind of guy who's just going to videotape a bunch of classes and make a mastermind and sell it to you for $500. Like, right. I want to connect with you. I want to do one-on-one meetings with you. So I think, if it was virtual, it'd be more of a one-on-one setting. A lot of my coaching, what I do is in person, one-on-one. I have a very sacred space like you do here at my home, and it's charged with the energy and the love that creates the healing environment for people. And people walk into that room and they feel it, and they immediately say, "Wow, this is something different. I've never experienced this." And that's all it takes. Like, they realize it's real. They know that I'm the real deal and it's legit. I'm not painting anything. I'm wearing a t-shirt and shorts and just here hanging out with you. I'm not some guru again. I'm not some top 500 coaches in the world, but I'm very unique and I am a very inclusive and, amazing, abundant resource for you.
Mm-hmm. If someone wanted to take a step down this journey, where would you say that the best place to start would be? Would it be reaching out to someone like you? What would you say like the first step should be?
Definitely tap into yourself. Because you know you. Mm-hmm. You are you. And if you're not ready to look in the mirror and be accountable for, the blessings that are in your life, I mean, a blessing is a hard lesson learned. It's not all ponies and rainbows and unicorns. It's tough. Life is, living on earth is the school of hard knocks. Mm-hmm. We all came here, and I celebrate everybody who has the courage to live here and be in this society. It's so difficult, and it is traumatizing. And that's how I have a business. Mm-hmm. Just because society is traumatizing. Mm-hmm. I have not ever said that before. Mm-hmm. That's an awareness. But to me, like, the money that we generate, I am not a materialistic person. Like I said, I have separated from all that. Mm-hmm. I don't buy fancy cars. I'm seeking to donate 1 billion trees, to plant 1 billion trees over the course of my coaching journey in my life. We want to donate and create small loans for people that otherwise wouldn't be able to get a loan from a bank. We want to work with feeding the hungry. We want to travel the world and help fund some of these indigenous populations, whether it's money or we buy things to help create a better, more sustainable community. Because my dream is to help people create a sustainable community everywhere. Because eventually what's going on is going to end. It's just coming to it. It's negative. People are waking up, like you said. So when people have these profound experiences and know that somebody 1000% supports them, not just on this form, but like on a spiritual level, you connect with that. And that's not a light connection, but like I said, they have to be committed. Like you yourself are the answer. You are your healing. I am simply a facilitator or a resource for you, for information, for guidance, for love. And that's what I'm here to do, and uplift humanity and heal the world. So through the money we create, like I said, we want to create generational wealth to support humanity, to support sustainable communities that work with nature. There's a lot of amazing things that are coming back where we work synergistically with nature. And that's how the human body is designed. And nature is so resilient. Go look at a tree in a hurricane. Go look at some of the trees in Southwest Florida. I've seen trees that are curly-cued because they've been through things, but they're still here living. And that's just as resilient as the human form. We have so much trauma. We have so much anxiety, so much guilt that we cope with. I hear coping all the time. Coping with something is like leaving a garbage can filled to the top, overflowing in the middle of the room right here. We're coping with it. No, take it out. Take control of it. Get rid of it. And if you're on the fence, get off the fence. Who wants to sit on top of a fence? Make a choice. Figure it out, right? Like, here we are. We're here to live. We're here to express love. We're here to express each other. Create something. Like, do a creative event. Like, paint something, draw something, write something. If you want to sing a song, like, you can sing a song. But I dare you to go and dance. Go be yourself unapologetically. Enjoy your life. Stop worrying about what anybody else thinks, because that's the real empowerment. That's part of the program is and a lot of programs have, ecstatic dancing or blindfolded dancing or whatever. I do it no blindfold, and I want you to dance like you've never danced before, because I don't care. Maybe I'll learn a new dance move from you. Like I said, it's what can we learn from each other? How can we really connect and uplift each other? And it's like, there's so much judgment out there. I don't vibe with that, and it's no more division in my, hashtag no division. We're here to uplift and, support each other and create a community and connect, because we all have these stories. We all connect with the stories because we've all lived through it. And in some way or another, we all have some traumas.
I'm going to start calling you every morning for a motivational speech. I feel like I'm ready to go now.
Let's do it. Let's do it, brother.
Damn, dude. You're just saying all these things, and they're just hitting me in all the right places. Yeah, man, you know how to speak to the soul. It's a beautiful thing. It's great.
It's such a blessing.
Dude, I've never, and I'm not trying to stroke your ego that you don't even really have, but
it's just suspended. It's just suspended right now.
But you're different, and that's a good thing. You're different in a great way, in a very unique way. I've never met anyone like you. It's again, it's very refreshing.
Yeah, and I reflect the same back to you. It's a blessing to meet somebody like you.
Yeah, thanks, man.
I see a lot of myself in you.
Yeah. I mean, it's just crazy, man.
This is how the universe works, these connections. I'm so grateful. Can we take a moment to just show a little gratitude to the universe?
Absolutely.
Thank you, Divine Spirit. Thank you, Sacred Mystery, for this connection. I'm so grateful for all that is coming, and the abundance of the universe. And this time, we are attracting all that is and all that we deserve, and we release what no longer serves us. We are the change we want to see, and so it is. Aho.
What does aho mean?
Oh, it's like amen. It's more of a spiritual, like a sacred native kind of blessing at the end of it. And I always say, and so it is. That's the real kicker, because when you want to manifest something, don't ask for it, because it's going to push it farther away from you. That's the secret to manifesting, is if you want it to rain, in your mind, see it raining. And then as you see it raining for a few seconds, a few moments, believe that it's raining. And so it is. I want to be wealthy. I am wealthy. And so it is. Mm-hmm. It's not I want. If you want, say you want to desire, say I desire, because that draws. That's a more attractive, that's a more sexy way to say I want something. The universe responds to desire, because that's on a spiritual soul path level. Want, need, those are 3D BS. You know, those are things that you can buy. So desire, be sacred. Your life can be as sacred or as meaningless as you want it to be. It's about the intention that you walk with and the power that you maintain.
We did would you consider that like a ritual? We
did a rapé ceremony.
A ceremony. We did a ceremony when you first got here. It wasn't on camera, and I feel like that's something that we probably wouldn't put on camera. To me, it seems like that's something that seems like we would just do.
That's why we are connected the way we are right now, because you and I shared that alone.
Damn. It just keeps going.
It's a lot of love, brother.
Yeah, man. It was damn. That's crazy.
That's sacred.
Yeah.
That's the sacredness. You feel it.
Yeah, you definitely do.
I feel your energy right now.
Yeah, that's crazy. This is like a whole new world for me, man. I'm just happy that we did this. This has been so cool.
Yeah.
I got a lot to learn, man. I got a lot to learn from you, and just like this whole world. I got a lot. Everyone has a lot to learn, and I think most people are just stuck in their ways, you know. Yeah. But
I'm always learning. Be teachable.
Yeah.
Be teachable. You don't know everything. That's what got you where you are right now. So if you have the courage to ask for help, keep that courage and maintain. And I honor the people that have the courage to even ask about ayahuasca, because that right there, you're looking at it. The medicine calls to you. I don't make money on you going to do ayahuasca. That's not my thing. That's a sacred experience between you. I work with people on integration, on what you do with your life after that experience. I will go on those experiences with people, and we're doing one in a few weeks. So yeah, this month I've done more psychedelics than I normally would, but it is part of the induction into becoming a plant medicine facilitator, especially with this tribe. It's a very specific protocol, probably stricter than maybe Western medicine, because it's a diet, it's a lifestyle. It is lots of meditation, lots of praying, lots of gratitude, and then being comfortable with the most uncomfortable things. That's what we talked about too, is like getting out of the comfort zone, because you cannot and you will not change if you stay the same. You have to push beyond the boundaries. It's your duty. It's your life's path to advance and evolve. That's what humans do. We're the most resilient species out here. And like I said, we can cope with things, or we can empower ourselves. And we can write our owner's manual for our vehicle. And we can be empowered and confident every single day, because we've already learned from our traumas and our experiences in our past, mistakes or blessings. And I'm all about empowering. I'm all about people. And a lot of my clients, I would say the majority of my clients are definitely women. You know, my first client was a CEO of a company I used to work at. And she saw me after my experience. Is like, hey man, I know you got fired. I don't know what happened to you afterwards, but whatever you have, I need it. And she didn't care how much it was, and she didn't take care how long it took. She signed up right away. She's my first client and one of my best clients. I love her. We still talk to this day.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And she's like a 50-year-old woman. You know, like I'm 36. And not that age matters at all, but a lot of people out there, society believes that like, oh, you're only 36. You don't know this. No. I have looked death in the face so many times, and here I am.
Honestly, the earlier the better, right? I mean, like the quicker you can get on this journey to healing and being your best self, I think that's great. You know, if you're 21 and you're watching this video and you think this is something I want to do,
reach out.
Do it.
I do free consultations all the time. We just launched the website, so there's a link on the website. You can book your own call, and we're here for it. You know, my wife and I both. You know.
Yeah, man. I think thanks for coming out. This has been amazing. This is nothing short of amazing. This has just been eye-opening. You're an amazing speaker. You have this ability to just like, I have severe ADHD. I don't even know if you're a believer in ADHD, but some people are, some people aren't. It's really, I can always pay attention, but my attention is always fragmented, right? I'm paying attention to a lot of different things all at once, but you have a way of, you're very captivating. Like I can just pay attention to you, which that's a compliment.
Yeah, I appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you.
If you want to find Alex, I will link his website. I will link everything Alex, you will be able to see underneath this, underneath this video. And, I definitely want to have you back on because I feel like there's some certain things that I've thought about throughout this whole episode that I just would really like to focus on.
Totally. Yeah, I saw that coming.
Yeah.
I definitely feel this. And are we doing a final thought?
Absolutely, yeah.
I'd really like to take this moment to acknowledge everybody who did listen today. Thank you so much. Go like this podcast, support my guy Chase, and know how loved and supported you are in this universe. Not only by me, I mean that from all of my being. The universe is here working for you, and it's your duty to just constantly make the right choices and just be the best version of yourself and tap into that. And there's people here to support you, but you need to show up for that. There's a lot of love out in the universe, and it's all here for you, waiting for you. God bless you all.
Man, I wish I had you for every outro. I'm not even going to say anything after that. Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe. Appreciate
Mic
all
drop.
of you. Dude, you're so good. God, you're so good. You need to start a podcast. I know you said it's not your thing, but God damn it.